Let's talk about the abyss. The abyss is a funny thing to talk about. As a matter of fact, I did during the depths of the pandemic. I offered a workshop, a Zoom workshop. It lasts about 90 minutes, just on the subject of the abyss, and it's still available to download it, or to the link to it is available, and you can enjoy it at your leisure. It's got about 100 slides and things like that. It's an experience like all my Zoom workshops. It's an audio-visual kind of experience. And like many of the others, it also includes a ritual and a meditation that you can join in and actually put certain things into practice yourself. And it contains a meditation based on a Nokian call that would be appropriate for discussion of the abyss. Well, anyway, if this is the way most people think, most magicians anyway, think about the abyss. Okay, we've got a tree of life. We got 1, 2, and 3 right up here at the top. And that 1, 2, and 3 is really just kind of 3 facets of the singularity. We see all the galaxies and everything in time and space. We keep bringing our camera back until we see that there is just a single unit. There is no outside of that singularity anymore. And that's really the unity. That's the big whatever it is. Okay, but it's a thing that's not only a thing. It transcends thingness even. Okay, it transcends being a known even, and that just wipes out space. It wipes out time. It's a singularity of consciousness, which eventually manifests as what we think of as reality. Anyway, and so we projected on the tree of life. You know, we're down here in number 10. That's where most of the people are slumbering asleep, and we sort of wake up big time in number. You've probably met people, let's say, so we can look back at our diaries and you know, this is the day I became a 5 = 6, and yeah, right. Those consciousness events take place out of the okay, it's not that they didn't happen. It's not that certain things triggered events in our own consciousness on such and such a date. But it's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, to look at this objectively as the same way that you would look at the ongoing events of a chess game. Okay, it's bigger stuff than that. Now, this is taken from a lecture that I was asked to give a couple of years ago, and it forms part of the Abyss Zoom workshop that I've posted just below this thing here. If you and are still interested in the abyss after this morning's talk, I, I urge you to treat yourself to that seminar or that workshop. Be that as it may, here we go. The concept of the abyss is so high on the magician's ladder of speculation that any discussion we might have soon starts sounding crazy. As if we were erasing the boundaries between Western Kabbalistic magic, Eastern Taoist mysticism, and quantum physics. So right here at the beginning, I'm going to invoke the king of inscrutability, the all-time champion of cutting through the bullshit, Mr. Lao Tzu, and his masterpiece of simplicity, the Tao Te Ching. The very first stanza says, get this, the Tao, or the way, that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. Okay? The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things, or the myriad creatures. So in other words, the unnamed, or the nameless, is the beginning of everything, heaven and earth. But once you start calling it something, when you name it something, the named is the mother of 10,000 things. Now, not that I want to reach back to the Bible for any sort of authoritative anything, but remember the story of Adam and Eve. Before Eve came along, and shortly thereafter, supposedly in the story, God created all the things in the garden, but he let Adam name everything. Okay, it was they make a big point of this in Genesis. Okay, that the source of everything, the beginning of heaven and earth. Okay, nothing was named yet. Everything was still part of that nameless, inscrutable singularity. But then Adam started naming things. Oh, you're a dog, you're a cat, you're a leopard, you're a giraffe. Okay. So I'm going to run over that just again for a second. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Now, ever desireless, one can see the mystery. So, a person or a center of consciousness that has freed themselves from desire can see this mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. So, if you're desireless, you can see the mystery. But if you're still attached and still have desires, one can see the manifestation. Manifestations. These two spring from the same source but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. Now, I know this sounds very enigmatic and inscrutable and like something out of the old TV series Kung Fu. But for those of us who are at least casually familiar with the Kabbalistic diagram of consciousness called the Tree of Life, we might see how Lao Tzu might have explained this to his Hermetic and Kabbalistic colleagues. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. To desire something. Anything means that we're dreaming we're separated from the thing we desire. Do you get that? As long as you've dipped down in consciousness to realize that everything is in you already, and you desire something, you've set up an illusion within yourself that you're separated from that. Okay, so desire something, anything, means that we're dreaming we're separated from the thing we desire. There is duality. But when we are desireless, we're not trapped in that dream of duality. We've risen above duality. We've crossed the abyss. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. So as long as we're prisoners of desire, we give phantom life to the things we're dreaming that we're separated from. And there is an unlimited number of them. That's why in the Tao Te Ching they call it the myriad creatures. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. The abyss is a magical looking glass. Above the abyss, there are no opposites, no duality, a unified singularity. Below the abyss, the singularity of consciousness is shattered into opposites that in turn shatter into more and infinitely more opposites, things that desire and attract and repel all other things. So once you're out of there, you've broken into duality. And we've got various levels of duality and dualities within all of those dualities, and they're all things that we think we're separated from. Standing on the consciousness threshold of the abyss is like gazing to a mirror, a looking glass that we must, like Alice, pass through. But, and this is a big but, the image of yourself that you see in the looking glass isn't the real you. Only the purest essence of what you truly are is able to pass through the looking glass. And sadly, pretty much everything you think you are right now is not the pure essence of what you really are. But when that pure essence wakes up to its true nature, when you leave behind all the false dreams of all the things you were not, all the names for yourself that have kept you blind to the nameless, then you've crossed the abyss. Hello, I'm Lon Milo DuQuette. Well, actually, I'm not Lon Milo DuQuette. I'm called by the name Lon Milo DuQuette. Lon Milo DuQuette is my name, but we all know that the name is not the thing named. Lon Milo DuQuette is known by many names. I'm a carbon-based life form, a mammal, a man, a musician, a husband, father, and an infinite number of adjectives that attach to my personal pronoun. And while they may be descriptive of my occupation and my duties and behaviors and provide an objective entity for governments to tax, they all serve to separate me from self and my true identity the moment they are uttered. So the second I call myself a musician, I've just separated myself from the source. There's this term called Nemo, okay, N-E-M-O, and in the seminar, if you've seen it or will see it, flashes that word up there. Oh, so far there's been 31 separate slides going with all of this. Okay. Nemo cannot be possessed. Oh, do you know what Nemo is, actually, besides a cool name? When Ulysses, when Ulysses was captured by the Cyclops on this one island, he and his men were captured and stored like cattle so the giant could eat them eventually. But there was a bunch of sheep there too. And Ulysses figured out a way to carve, while the giant was away doing something, bingo maybe. His men cut a giant log and made it real sharp like a pencil at the tip. And when the giant came, they surprised him and they jabbed that pencil in his eye, and he only had one eye, so it blinded him. And in his pain and confusion, all of Ulysses and his men got themselves a sheep and crawled under the sheep and held on from below. And then the giant, thinking that he wanted to clear the area to find the men he opened up the cave door, and all the sheep ran out, carrying Ulysses and his men out. And Ulysses knew that the Cyclops had brothers on the island too, and so he wanted to confuse him even more. So when he said, "Who did this to me? Who did this to me?" Ulysses yelled, "Nemo! Tell him it was Nemo that did it." Okay, and Nemo means no man. Okay, so when his giant brothers came to help, they said, "Who did this to you?" He said, "No man." But anyway, that's the story Nemo came from. But I digress. Nemo cannot be possessed or qualified or augmented or diminished or modified or created or destroyed. There can be no my I. Not this I, but this I. There's no my I. There is no me or mine. Where the real I is, the real I is Nemo. And so is the real you. I am not. I am not. No matter what you might read on the internet, I am not a CIA agent, or Aleister Crowley, or his incarnation, or his love child, or the magical heir. I am not Vivekananda to Crowley's Ramakrishna. I am not Ouspensky to Crowley's Gurdjieff. I am not St. Paul to Crowley's Jesus. I am not Ali to Crowley's Muhammad. I am not McGregor Mathers, a secret chief, a secret master, a Mahatma, a avatar, or Vishnu. I am certainly not the new goddamn world teacher. I am not. I am not N-A-U-G-H-T. I am not even the I in the sentence, I am not. And neither are you. The I that is truly the I is not something that would ever call itself I. It might make more sense on acid, okay? Before we go too much further into this craziness, when I give this talk on stage or in an auditorium, I ask the audience for a show of hands and ask how many of us here tonight believe they've crossed the abyss. I usually get a couple of people who raise their hands. After all, I often speak before an audience of pretty experienced and savvy magicians. Then I ask, how many of us have run into a fellow magician or some colorful blogger or some poor severely suffering schizophrenic person on the sidewalk who has told you they've crossed the abyss or that they are speaking to you from the bowels of the abyss or something like that? I don't think we have to go very far on Facebook or the internet to find lots of that kind of talk. I truly don't know how to react or what to say, because no matter how unlikely or how droolingly delusional this person may appear to be, they may actually be right. They might indeed have crossed the abyss, and nobody, not you or I, or some pompous asshole or well-intended guru is qualified to challenge this mad assertion. Because there's likely to come a time in your initiatory journey when you will ask yourself, have I transcended reason? Or have I just gone crazy? Each of us slumbers in our own dream. So each of us must awaken in our own way. And that's that for this morning about the abyss. If you are interested in that, this seminar, it goes on, believe me, it goes on much longer than that with many more slides. I've posted the entire list of the Zoom seminars, and if you haven't availed yourself to the abyss, just scroll down one thing on my page and you'll see the entire menu of them. Anyway, I've certainly been thinking a lot about the abyss. In California, the I-5 freeway is pretty much the abyss. Anyway, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.